Hey, welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of About Her today with the wonderful Hedi. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about our conversation today, and I would love to start for you to share your journey to how much you're comfortable with, to how you came to the point you are now. I've gotten a bit of insight behind the back, so yeah, but please share a bit of you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm not going to talk about the 41 years. I'm going to try to shorten it up, but it's actually accumulation. I mean, I've lived a couple of transitions throughout my life. So I think that's pretty normal, but embracing like the transformations. I've been in the music industry, then I've changed into innovation consultancy and being a high performer all my life, several projects at the same time, several trainings at the same time, doing PhD while still, going to school and whatnot and working. It all fell on my feet when I became a mom and everything went still. So I realized back then that I had this belief, or I was always telling myself, oh yeah, right now it's a lot. But when I became a mom and I transitioned from Berlin, where I was born and raised, to a quiet city where my husband was living as a stonemason, and I had this beautiful being, in front of me who was just enough for herself. And with the milk that I was providing, everything fell apart. And I had no clue at the moment, or at that time. I was really, as a high performer, knowing what I was doing. I was really, really good at what I was doing. I was booked at Fortune 500 companies, to NGOs, to startups. Like, I was busy 6 times a week. And this was my identity. And when I became a mom, I had no clue what I was doing because I've never changed diapers. I had to keep a human being alive. And also a lot of shadows, trauma from my childhood came up, plus the realization, I don't know who I am. I had anxiety attacks, I couldn't board planes or trains anymore. I knew that this chapter was gone, was done, but I didn't know what else. So as, being also always a self leader of my life and very self-dependent, I needed to find clarity first. I needed to cleanse my trauma and my limitations, my limiting beliefs, because they came up because it was so quiet. They came up like almost like a life ticker. I always had this vision of, wow, there's another one, but I couldn't cope with it. I didn't know what to do with it. And the creation part, the funny thing was, or the irony, I was in innovation business for almost 10 years, which is weird, looking back and like, yeah, I tell people what to do with their life and business all the time. And also like, yeah, you have to create clarity and have a mindset. I was really teaching people that innovation starts with the mindset, but I had no clue what that actually meant and how to transform an actual matter, how you can create yourself. So I would know how to perfectly innovate on projects, services, cultures, and on innovation in organizations. But I had no clue about the power of innovating yourself and how you become the innovator inside out. And so fast forward, the 3 C's of change basically saved my life. I have to say it because it is the way it is. I had no clue if I would make it at that point and throughout the years. But the clarity about my purpose, visions, and values, not reconnecting to myself, but for the first time, really connecting to myself. I had done yoga teacher trainings. I was a Reiki girl, but really connecting to myself was very, very scary and needed time and a structure. So the first thing was really clarity. I was like, okay, girl, you have all the tools, use them. The second one was really the cleansing part, as I said, my limitations that were in my head, but also the trauma that was in my body, the nervous system that was on high alert, hypervigilance. I was a terrible people pleaser. Like, there is a people pleaser, but there's more to this. Like, which made my whole life like an anxiety ball sort of thing. Like, I was always out of the zone and never really connected. I had the lack of safety, and I had also a human being who could mirror this all the time. So I was really grateful about that. But it was also the whole time challenging, like business and becoming a mom. This sure accelerated the growth. And then only then the creator part, like testing things out. My business, by my new hard business, which was helping people overcome these 3 C's, or like diving into the 3 C's of change and creating the life and the business they desire and deserve, because everyone is different. There is no blueprint, but you can have these sort of pit stops to help you come back to yourself, or come home to yourself for the first time in your life, or in your lineage, or in your incarnation, and then thrive. Go from survival, which I was at, into thrival, which is very uncomfortable at first, but very rewarding. We talked about it. Yeah, very, very rewarding.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And we talked about that before. It's so interesting how many similarities there are in our lives. So that's really funny too.
For the audience, we're basically the same person.
Yes, actually. That was kind of a shock just now, but also so amazing. So what I think is really, really interesting is this falling apart when you became a mom, because okay, we both had it, but I can give you like a very long list of women I've worked with who have the same thing. And I think it's super interesting that we kind of think we have it all together. And we, like you say, being high performers, being really hard workers, trying to like do it all, please everyone but ourselves. And like really kind of feel like everything's kind of working. We have it in control, and then motherhood hits and things shift. And this is like, I think it's a beautiful way how it's designed, that we then like really go on that journey to ourselves, to find ourselves, or to reconnect with ourselves, however it is for each of us. But like that, this is such an initiation of a total different life that is unfolding afterwards. And I see so many women who are like really courageous enough to take that, to embrace that, and to like work their way through. And then I see a lot, when I'm a good observer, how many people aren't. And I think it's interesting that we still have the choice to say like, okay, well, I don't want to deal with that. We talked about shadow work before we hit record. I'm just doing everything like my parents did, or like society expects me to. But then there's this other path, which came out very clearly, I think, in your telling right now, to say like, okay, well, who am I? What do I want to mirror my child? What is happening here? And how on earth can I, come out empowered? How can I find myself? So I love that you found for yourself this structure of this beautiful chain to like really kind of have something like a roadmap, it feels almost, to what should I do next? Because I think that's something that we ask ourselves in these situations. So like, okay, I now get that this is not the way it can work, but what to do next? So you'd say clarity is the thing that was like your first step in there?
Absolutely, because I see a lot of struggle adding if we are diving directly into shadow work. It can basically, the floor is already crumbling, as you said, it's falling apart, but it gives you kind of a hook and hope. And when we realize that there's so much within us, for instance, I can walk you through it. The purpose work we do is 360-degree purposing, where we are looking at who are you, what gifts have you got, what passions, what drives other people towards you, what kind of meaning do you give to other people, what kind of wounds have you already, got in your backpack that you can turn into wisdom and teach others. Because I believe we're not here for ourselves, but if we really turning your wounds into wisdom, that is legacy. So what is your potential legacy? What are your values to help you shift from, being reactive to the world to being proactive? Like, okay, now this is not aligning with my freedom value, for instance. We talked about that. So I'm no longer doing that to harm myself. I mean, we always have a choice, right? Struggle or thriving, survival or thrival. And so most people aren't clear about that. I wasn't clear about that. And and then also the visions, like, who do I want to be as myself? Who do I want to be as a mom? Who do I want to be as a partner? Who do I want to be as a friend? What kind of work-life innovation? So I phrased this work that I'm doing, work-life innovation. What kind of work-life flow do I want to have morning till evening? If we are clear, we can design. Designers are very clear about what they're doing, and that's the base for creation. Now, obviously, all of this baggage, all of this, I call it gunk or like glue that we've accumulated throughout our existence, and 95% is unconscious. How do we clear that so we can actually turn this into reality? Because then self-sabotage comes into play. Then we realize, I had a client very early on, and this is repeating. When she looked at her values, she was like, holy shit, I was designing a life directly opposite to my values.
Wow.
What kind of limiting belief is behind that? I'm not good enough. I have to prove myself. I have to work hard in order to, to be of value to the world. No, you're already good enough. So having a mindset, this is what we're talking about, having a mindset that serves you and that not goes against you. So you can actually put this into action, into creation. That's the third C. That's what is the absolute base. But I would always start with unfolding this beauty to also get, this is very important for us women, confidence that we can go through with it. Because how many people are, waiting for the prince, and this is just conditioning, to, do this, and your life is turned around. No, we have to turn it around. It's our job. Nobody will come and say, I will give you this contract and now you're this successful entrepreneur. There's skill involved. There's testing. There's failing. There's so much picking yourself up again. And that's with every creation that you wanna do in life. Your new relationship, your new home base. We talked about that earlier, not in the podcast, but like these environments, these nurturing aspects, I would say, in your life and business that help you really, truly move out of this conditioned survival mode and into a connected truth. I think motherhood, as you said it, is the button that, that pushes truth. Yeah. Whether or not you are looking at it and embracing it and are super honest. I mean, shadow work is honest, and you have to, be mindful about that it's your choice and a choice to create whatever life you want. And also that how there's I think there's what's that in English, that how the more honest you look at things, the better you can transform it.
Yeah.
And we talked about this ghost under the bed. So if I'm hiding away from the ghost under my bed, I will not realize that it's actually not a ghost under my bed, but that there is, that there's just some energy or some scarf that I can transform. And so whatever you put a torch on will be lit. If you're in a room of darkness and you're so scared, you're hiding away in a corner, and you're not taking the torch and actually looking at the things, you will not be able to transmute it.
Yeah.
And so this is very, very true to shadow work, to cleansing. So I would, rather than doing more, this is also very conditioned in us women, we have to do more, cleanse more. Cleanse more to get rid of more stuff that is draining you down, because we all know, like, we can hold this cup, but after a while this cup gets so heavy. Like at the moment it's maybe not heavy, but it always comes back around. And that's what I see in a lot of people who are not facing. It will come around, and with more intensity, for us not to piss us off, but to finally give us the opportunity to transform it. And there's a beautiful, I don't know if you know these buffaloes, this analogy. Buffaloes hate rain. Buffaloes hate rain. So whenever there is a rainy cloud, they sense it. They actually run towards it, so they're out of it faster. And this is a principle that came on early in my transformation, my personal transformation. So whenever there is something that I'm like, oh no, not again, I'm like, oh yes, so it's over quickly. So these are some principles that give you speed.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because there's more things I want to touch on. I try to organize that in my brain. I think the first one is about the resistance, and thank you for the buffalo metaphor. I haven't heard it before. Is this we are kind of conditioned to run away from everything that's uncomfortable? Oh, there's fear. That's something bad. That's something scary. And yeah, part of it is, and I'm not disagreeing on it, but the question is how do you hold yourself through it? You could either put it under the carpet and try to avoid it and never look at it again, or like you said, you think oh, okay, there's fear coming up. Why is the fear coming up? Digging deep into your shadow lovingly. That's something that I'm always insisting on, so that we can kind of integrate it instead of pushing it away, because the universe is not exclusive, it's inclusive. So we kind of need to find our way through it. But what I want to talk about is the resistance of shying away of things that are uncomfortable, instead of what really was bring us forward is going to them open arms, saying okay, what are you here to tell me? What is my lesson here? How can I learn this? How can I grow through this challenge that is here for me to be challenged and to overcome that challenge? How can I grow from this? How can I draw strength out of it or get an insight from it? It's like collecting light, one of my mentors says, for this. And the more we do that, the more we kind of make it a habit to not shy away, but like you say, run towards it and say yeah, because for me that is deeply connected to how we see ourselves in this whole universe. If we think life is happening to us, or if we can embrace, which sometimes takes a bit of time depending on how hard you're conditioned, to embrace this belief, this deep trust that the universe is always benevolent. So everything that comes up, regardless of how uncomfortable it is, everything that comes up is good because it comes from the universe, creator, God, whatever you want to call it. So there must be a reason. We might not get it with our limited human consciousness, but there is something that we can learn out of it. So why not embrace it? Why work against the universe? And I feel that's every time we're resisting, we are working against the universe, but we're so small compared to the all, that it's not making any sense. And I think to like only if we would only decondition that and work more, providing our shadows in this alone would make such a big progress. But if you then provide it with survival, which I smell because we had that too for so many years, there was just like the survival mode and the danger of it. I would love for you to speak about that as well from your point of view. Is that we kind of take it as normal. The base of what is normal kind of is dependent on the survival mode we're in. So if we're in like super stressful situations for a long time, we kind of think like, okay, well, that's how life is, or these health conditions that I have, or these mental conditions, this anxiety, this level of frustration, this level of anger, this level of like maybe discussions or fights with the people around me. That's like the basis. It's normal, but actually it's not. It's only the reflection of a very tense nervous system, if you want to say, of an unconscious belief that is like really, really limited, and not to judge it, but to become aware of it. I think that is something where we can really do a lot, because most of us don't even get that there is not a problem, but a challenge, because they're just so familiar with the hell that they're living in, to put it very dramatically.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100,000%. I was addicted to chaos. I was addicted to turmoil. I was addicted to even terror. I always, looking back, I always chose work environments where I meant nothing to the people, where I was manipulated to serve them so they could shine. Wonder where this came from. You know, the beauty of seeing the results in hindsight, like, you know, where you're coming from, is that there is a pattern. We follow patterns to feel comfortable. That's just our brain wired. And 95%, again, is unconscious, and you're not doing something wrong. You know, we always have to, I think, what we have to be very aware of, that this is conditioning that was done to you. So I'm very much into the victim thing there. But now, as you are grown up, this is your responsibility to recreate. Nobody will do it for you. But I think also acknowledging that something was not good and right when you were a child, or even like I go generations back. So sometimes we go 12 generations back, where it's just like the energy that is stuck within you that is not even yours. And I mean, our parents are traumatized. Their parents were traumatized. There is so much trauma that these cycle breakers of today are, you know, transmuting, which is so much hero work. Like,
I'm shivering right now, you see.
I was like, yeah, like I'm speechless often, very often, but there was so much in what you said. So I cannot just touch on what you were saying. So yes, when you move out of this victim mode, life is happening to me, you step into the creator self, right? Life is happening to me, I create life, or life is actually through me. These are basically the steps. And if you are looking at, to your question, or to your comment, to what is normal or what is the norm, if you are looking at the scale of Dr. David Hawkins, who has this, you know, the scale of consciousness, there is so much anger, so much blame, so much trouble in like where you're out of the zone. When I realized, okay, I'm not really, you know, happy. I can't really be happy because my consciousness is like way down. I vibrate at like 100 max. And then when you go up, you see, okay, love and above. So love, joy, peace, enlightenment, which to me, enlightenment is a very difficult word. I would rather say the truth. So your authenticity that vibrates the highest. If you start being clear of who you are and really putting that into action, automatically your life becomes more truthful, right? Because you're cleansing away also the people, also the environment that is like draining you down, your energy. Everything is energy. You are energy. So everything that is draining you down and that putting you into this lower vibrational state, you can't be yourself. So this has to be cleansed as well. But then automatically you are more in your power state, which I felt very relieving because, there's this term dancing with your shadows. And I think a lot of people, and me back then as well, thought, okay, there's this belief also that you always, especially in Germany, I don't know about the entire world, but that you always carry your bags. That's the quote unquote. Du musst dein Paket immer tragen of German. Which is wrong. That's not the truth. That is not the truth. I went to psychotherapy. I'm coming from a psychotherapy parents where this was common sense. This was normal, but this is made norm, I believe, to disempower you completely, because then you're like, okay, I can't do anything about my life. How wrong is that? It's not the truth. And when I learned that through mindset shifting, training, going back generations, cleansing myself from parts of me that were blocking, I was like, holy moly, how fast is the shift? So I think this is also very important to understand that you don't have to do shadow work until you're 80 years old and then you're in the grave and the shadows are all above you. No, they're gone. When there's a learning in them, when you detected them and you pulled them out, just like, like flossing your teeth, it's gone. Yeah, maybe there's some other, it's like onion work. Deeper stuff comes up, but then when you cleanse that more and more, it just also gets normal, like, oh, another shadow, like, what's gonna happen? And also always ask yourself, not what am I losing, but what am I gaining? And what you said also about the a lot of people, because they are just conditioned to chaos, is either recreating the chaos unconsciously. So one simple thing is going into environments where, organizations or, marrying someone who just creates more chaos in your life, plus their family. Very basic, very, very, very good strategy. And not to blame you, because this is just your unconscious programming. And then, also when this gets too much, being addicted to something else. So we are very, very good as human beings, and we have the tools now. I mean, like your smartphone, or I was addicted to shopping. So when I had these 10-hour work days, I wouldn't go home, breathe, meditate, come back to me and cleanse from the energies that were draining me. No, I wouldn't. I would go to TK Maxx, which is like a massive store, just to regulate my nervous system by shopping. Yeah. And this regulation can go very, derail yourself from you or bring you back to center, but the choice is yours. I had to really cough myself up almost and do these regulation habits, like breath work every single day, like cold showers in ice cold water to regulate my nervous system, because it was so in hypervigilance, fight or flight, freeze or fawn, so that I would be able to then slowly but surely come back to me and not think about, manifesting. Everyone's talking about manifesting quick results. Yeah. Awesome. I want that too. Yeah. I want trying to get the hook, but the hook is within you, and that is a journey. Beautiful journey.
Yes, indeed. And a journey like back to ourselves, maybe for the first time in this lifetime, to really being able to answer the question, who am I and what do I really want? My first mentor said that in our first session. I said, I know what I want. But then again, I didn't. But I wasn't even aware of it. So I think that's like really the fight, flight, freeze, fawn that we've just touched upon, is like this. We don't even know what we really want and what we're capable of, because of the conditioning that we've put ourselves in to like go out of the victimhood phrasing here by being birthed in this earth at this time. So I totally think we did that on purpose from a higher perspective on, so that we can like kind of transmute these shadows that we've might have brought from past lives or whatever, but we're here and now. We have to kind of deal with what is happening around us, but that doesn't have to be in a victimhood mentality, but that can be like, okay, well, let's see what is coming out of this. Because ultimately, like to all the people I've talked with in the last years, what it comes down to is these challenges in hindsight are always the best thing that happened. And regardless of how bad they are, I mean, some of these things have been horrible. And it's not to say that you need to go through these or you should, but if you have, there's a reason for it. And they are here for you to find your power, you to reconnect to yourself. And we can, as you said before, we can choose to or we can choose not to. That is our free will. But the challenge comes up so that we can shine, that we can rise it, that we can overcome it. And maybe that's like a bit of a bold thing to say, but the harder the challenge, the bigger the light that can be revealed by it. So
100%, 100,000%. And to build on that, I think wholeheartedly we're here, as you said, shine light and to also embrace joy. Have joy, play.
Allow
That's what
to have joy. Yeah.
What?
Yes, allow ourselves to have joy, which is so not demonized, but it's so looked down at in our society. Yeah, you want to have joy, better work hard, you know? There's
Exactly.
power
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And being in a flow state, like not hassling at all. So everything that comes up, and that's why I phrased this term, change-alicious.
Yeah.
Change, whatever you are the author. You can look at change as, oh my gosh, this is happening to me again. Like, judging it this way. Or most people who are actually froze or are waiting for something to happen, their belief is, or their label or judgment onto the change is, this shouldn't happen to me.
Yeah. It happened to me.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Like, not this on top. Like, are you kidding me? And universe works like, you're ready. That's why I'm giving it to you, so you can up level even more than you thought. And yes, you're holding yourself. I was literally like sometimes in the backyard, holding my hands, like digging them into the ground because I was like, I'm losing it. I'm absolutely losing it now. Not this on top of the other thousands of things that are coming on top. But quite frankly, also, I haven't really looked at them really because I was busy with, distracting myself. And because I knew, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to shift this. I can do this. And also when this is so interesting, when we work with the subconscious, which is this entire library of all of your energies that are either stuck within or that have a lot of potential, like all this trauma that goes back, as I said, generations. The subconscious only gives you what you're ready for, which is so fascinates to me. The same as in your reality, you only get where the universe knows you can absolutely transform this. Get help. This is also was my lesson. You don't have to do this by yourself, dude. Like, you're so self-dependent, but this is maybe also something that will not give you any leverage. Like, you can work on this yourself 30 years, or you might as well get help and transmute this in an hour or so. Yeah. But like, this was part of also the female conditioning, which I wrote down earlier, that, as females in this Western world, we have some strange beliefs that, we have to be these super moms and we have to be these super partners. We have to be able to go out and, party and then be super fresh the next day. And we take care of all the families, not ours, but like all the families were like the middle point, and then we are worthy of it. No, boundaries. So, boundaries and really knowing your standards. You get what you tolerate. And this was hard to understand for me, that whenever I was walked over, I was letting somebody walk over me, draining my energy and not taking me for taking me for granted, basically. And I think we can shift that also as a sisterhood in this time and age. We can shift so many things, and this is one big shift where we are able to create a completely new reality for us women.
Yeah. Agreed. So true. I feel like what really came up right now is the conditioning that we have as women to like be, I don't want to use the word perfect, but we need to be like, we've raised as the good girls, the generation like we're in. We need to please others before we can like find time for ourselves. If there's some time left in the evening, then you can take it for yourself, but please don't.
But maybe that's selfish.
Yeah, that might be selfish too. If you could, like, if you take time for you, that's selfish. You need to work hard. You need to always look good. You need to always be thin and like, perfect skin, perfect hair, whatever. You need to be like the trophy for your partner, but also at the same time, you need to do all the household stuff. But work at the same time, because if you're, at least where we both are located, if you are only a mom, then you look down too. But if you work and give your child to childcare, you also look down to. So in essence, it's like you need to be so many things, so many things. That's the conditioning. And to work ourselves out of that and say like, okay, well, no, I'm not resonating with this. This is not me. This is maybe not even possible. And if it's possible, it's definitely not healthy. And to then, like you said, like overcome this people-pleasing habit that I feel collectively have, and especially as empaths, and especially in the time we're in, where so many people are here as light workers, starseeds, however you want to call that, to be the ones who like really change society, help initiate change. We are, I feel like, super sensitive to all our environment, so much more than generations before because we already have cleared out all trauma. And with this, there comes sensitivity. And this sensitivity is like the beautiful thing. But in the environment we're living on, it's kind of challenging in itself, because it needs to find new ways to regulate, to protect, quote unquote, ourselves, so that we can stay in our energy of love, peace, bliss, authenticity, truth, enlightenment, if you wish to call it. But like, the ones that are like really uplifting you, the ones that are like really keeping you vibrating at the frequency of what you want instead of like survival. And for this, there needs to be kind of a safe space that we often call boundary, but that we can also call relaxation, nervous system regulation. You said you are gone shopping. I was gone eating sweets to regulate my nervous system, which is definitely not healthy, and I know it. But our limiting beliefs, our paradigm, if you wish, self-image that we hold of ourselves, makes us do things unconsciously. We're doing these things to us without even realizing it. So often there's this like, why did I do that? I don't know. Because it was your subconscious programming that you've picked up along the way. And this really fits into what you said with the baggage. I feel it's not only the Germans that have that, but definitely we do. It's like, oh, you need to like carry all this stuff around that weighs you down, that prevents you from really being you, and that also gives you this collective shame.
Yeah.
Here in Germany about the war, there's a lot of collective shame that we make sure we never come out of.
Yeah.
So that we, the whole other topic, but also, my parents have also had this or that disease.
Yeah.
So much different, like versions of this that we might or might not be aware of what we are carrying with ourselves. All this like generational, oh, my parents or my grandparents need to flee from wherever. Yes, that's horrible. Yes. But the question is, do you really need to carry it? You can honor it, but you don't need to carry it so that it's influencing the decisions of your life. You can kind of make peace with it in a way, so that it's not drawing energy. I think that's what the point I want to come to is, like, reclaim your energy to you and let the lives of other people, It's not your, you can be empathic, but still hold boundaries. You can be aware of what happened in your family or in history, but it doesn't have to be your story. And a lot that we're collectively shifting right now, which is such an interesting time to be in.
Yeah, I'm super grateful to witness this, and that we've gone through some things. I mean, what you've said is very important. I guess that, or I know that a lot of people who are then going into the healing, they then immediately start to try to heal other people, to try to change other people. And that's just another way of being addicted to not looking at your stuff first. So be mindful of where you put your energy into, because you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. And that comes with a lot of, and we have to be very honest about this, uncomfortable decision making. Different decision, new life. So we cannot create, have these expectations that everything will just shift. But there are some, either these are people that, that need to, you talked about the safe space that I want to address on, because the safe space is not something I've had some women that, were yearning for their safe space, and they thought they could, find it in tribes, new tribes. But then they were very disappointed when they found out that they were actually, screwing them over again. And only to find out that they are the safe space. When they find the safety, nothing bothers you anymore. And you're like, quite frankly, you just crossed my border, and I am, quite frankly, done. I say no. No is a full sentence. We have to train also ourselves to be, to be articulate about the boundaries, and really be okay with people not liking us anymore. But you know what? Those people who are uncomfortable, when you change into your empowered version, are those who have benefited the most when you weren't. This is very painful to realize in most cases, because often these are caretakers. These are often people where we hoped that things will change eventually, and looking back, they never did. And these are very, very, very painful moments in our lives, but these are the moments that give you the choice and chance to really make a difference for you and your generations to come, for your energy and for all the energies that are part of yours. Because when you're a mom, there's a study that the most unhappy children are those with the biggest burden for children are unhappy moms. And I think this is so true. If you are not living in your fullest, most beautiful, authentic life, and write books, do podcasts, whatever you want, create. The universe wants to experience itself through you, through play, through creation. That's the highest form of being, and you're limitless. Like, I often have clients who are like, yeah, no, I put myself in this box of being a podcaster, but actually, you know what? I want to just go teach children English. Do it. If that's your impulse, awesome. Yeah. Who knows what comes on the other side? I was hiding away from, showing myself on any social media because I was so scared of being judged. A very, very big, like a threat to society or women being judged. So I'm not going to put myself out there. That's my survival. That's my security. And learning that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, but embracing the possibilities that comes through this, like talking to you, connecting to you. I would have never met you.
We would have
I would have never known that you are actually, living in the same country as me. you know? Yeah. There are so many beautiful things when you are actually using your impulses, not just listening to them and like, oh, okay, I realize I have an intuition and it's telling me that I could become a speaker or that I could become really good at creating Canva templates for no reason. And maybe someday I will put these Canva templates on a piece of fancy clothing and then I'm a clothing designer. You decide. I was not, like, being an author was not in my books. I was just creating a post which weirdly became a very viral, where I said, my teachers were telling me that I could not create a full sentence. I could not, because of my trauma. I could not. At home, I was told that I was more articulate in my sleep. But then being somebody who publishes books, it was not in my chart. And the first time around where I got the opportunity, which I created also for myself, but then I got the opportunity to be an author, I was like, I would need some co-creators, some co-authors, so I am legit, because I can't do it. But then working through these fears, those limiting beliefs that I knew I had because I was not able to write it myself, that's when the glory comes in and we're like, okay, I'm an author. I'm published. You can be published and still think I'm not an author, which I did. But then, along the way, you might as well do that and embrace this part of you that wants to shine through.
That is so beautiful. And I think it's so important to really hear that and embrace that, because so many of us have this like intuitive nudges, but then we're trusting ourselves because we might have learned throughout our life that, that's just your imagination, or that's just a dream. Please, follow the real life rules. And so we kind of learn to not trust it. And we all have these intuitive hits, some more, some less, depending on how much you flex that muscle already. But really following them and allow yourself to go off the linear path.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're doing that within the last 20 years to not be the person who started this career when 16 and ended the same career in the same company when 65. Now we broke through to say okay, I was this. I cannot even count how many jobs I had in different branches. And I don't like to, but to have the courage to listen to these intuitive nudges, and then don't judge yourself for not being straight lined in your life, but really trying it out. And God knows why that's happening. Maybe you're not making a full successful career out of you putting Canva templates on t-shirts, but it's fun to you. And you've collected some information about yourself. You've collected some light along the journey, whether that's paying off financially or not. It's, I think, a totally different discussion, as much as anything could be separated in this universe. But maybe it was just, quote unquote, for your fun, for your gaining confidence. Like you said, we have collectively the female lack of confidence, insecurity, and to even realize that joy, that's a reason for its own. I recently talked to a former lawyer who is now a coach for burnout lawyers, which is happening in their field. And she said the biggest pushback, and I can really take that on for so many other branches I've worked in, is if you say like, I can't do it anymore, if you stop the hustling, stop the grind, stop the people pleasing and say, I can do it anymore because I'm not feeling joy, or I'm not feeling well with it, I need to rest. And there's so much pushback from society for this, because it's kind of going back to the selfish, or to the, oh, are you not strong enough to handle this? So there's so much shame, so much, trying to be guilty of being ourselves and being worthy. And right now I'm looking at this card that I've put on for today, and it says, I think it's mirrored, I'm worthy of love, joy, and abundance in all areas of my life. And I've pulled that before we started, and I thought like, oh, okay, how is this fitting into what I wanted to talk about? But now it makes so much sense. It's so beautiful to like allow ourselves to let joy be the reason for doing things. And that's
Yeah. And what you said also is very important. That a lot of people are, I don't want to say excuse. That's too harsh. But I've been there, and I've used a lot of blame on others.
Yeah.
Especially those I couldn't grasp, like society is so big, like you can't pinpoint it, or the system is so big, you can't pinpoint it, or politics, whatever. And it really doesn't matter, to be honest, because you're society, you're the system.
Yes.
And so rather than, again, giving your energy away to things that might not work in society. Yeah, there are people who have these beliefs, and there are people who have these beliefs. But what about you? It's always just mirroring where you're at. And if you're like, no, I'm fine with being a lawyer, being a high performer, and then just have joy. You're not it's not resonating with you anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like this energetic charge that use these triggers. For God's sakes, triggers are awesome, because your subconscious is your subconscious, and might as well, never dig into it. But triggers are like, hey, your subconscious, like your gunk, like saying, hi, please transmute me. Like, oh, society thinks that joy is not. No, actually, you are thinking that.
Oh,
might as well you're just thinking that. And because you're society, if you transmute it, you're also part of the society. You're also transmuting the society. Yeah. I think if we understand how powerful we are, because everything is a snowball effect. If you're transmuting your limiting beliefs, and you train your child and also your surrounding, you can do this. Like, how often am I playing with, having play dates, and I'm just saying something like randomly, like, but I'm talking about basically like boundaries with, I don't know, my parents-in-law or whatever. Like I'm not the caretaker of another family. I've got my own growing family, and my own growing projects, and my own visions that I have to take care of. This is somebody else's job. And they're like, whoa, what did you say? Wow. Like, when you transmute somebody else's thoughts, and they are finally able to, being empowered. It's just these little things that we are unaware of that that is the ripple effect to change the world. Yeah. And it always comes down to you, and how safe are you, and how empowered are you.
So true. There are like so many things I would love to discuss, but I feel we should wrap up for now, because an hour is a lot for people to listen to. Which is really hard at the moment, because there are so many other things that I would love to touch on. Well, maybe we can do that again. Yes, I agree 100%. It really comes down to our power, and to us taking responsibility for our lives, to say like, okay, it's not someone else judging me, it's me judging me first. And if I transmute that, everything changes. We are the hologram of the universe. We exactly are the universe. We just are not able to grasp that fully, because the mind is limited and its form, but it's
you wouldn't be in any way triggered. There would be no energy if you wouldn't feel that in a way.
yeah.
Sorry, I
Yes,
entered.
no, I totally agree. It's coming back to us, and I think that's people always say like, oh, so I'm responsible for everything. Am I responsible for the bad stuff too? Yeah. And that might be very uncomfortable at first, but also it gives you so much power back, because then you can say like, okay, well, I can learn how to change my thoughts, change my feelings, change my vibration, change my belief systems, release, cleanse, as we touched on before, with the method that you've used, like really cleanse out that stuff and welcome in new stuff that is more beneficial to you.
Exactly.
It's all up to you. And that's a beautiful thing. So it's not something we need to shy away from, but we can like really embrace it and say, how cool, I get to create this game that we call life. I can do it on my terms. I don't have to follow someone else's rules. And to sum that up, I feel if you would collectively embrace that, world would be so different. It would be, I can imagine that world, and it looks so beautiful. So I love that we're on the like path, on the journey to each individually finding these own little pieces of empowerment and wisdom throughout our days, our lives, and then rippling them out so that we can collectively shift into a world where we don't need to like condition our children and our grandchildren the way that we have been conditioned, our parents and grandparents have conditioned. And it's like we can release that baggage.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. And don't wait. I mean, don't wait for the society to do the turn, but you are it. You are it. And you might as well experience this now, or you need to come back another lifetime. Don't waste your time here.
So true. I thank you so much for your wisdom, your openness, your vulnerability, and the myriad of synchronicities we had today. This is really super special. I'm so grateful. I thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
Wishing you a wonderful, wonderful day, and hope we repeat that very soon.